Hello and good evening, CSI135 Section 400 students for the fall 2013 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. I'm just going to go ahead now and go over the answers for the lab. So as you remember, every student was sent an email at completion or at the end of lecture for the class that took place on September 4th, 2013. So if you type in mail, it'll show you a list of any messages you've got. And each student received an email from TPB, that's my faculty account, and the title of the message was Lab Number 1. So remember from week 2 that if you simply hit enter, that the message that the greater than sign is next to will be displayed, because that's the current message. As you can see here, this is Lab Number 1. So it says, hello and welcome to Lab Number 1. It's going to ask you to complete a series of tasks that have been covered in class up to this point. You might want to have another window open so you can read the tasks in this window and perform the steps in another window. And so here is the other window, right? So the first question asks you, who wrote most of the Vim editor? So if you remember from week number 2, we talked about the man pages and we talked about the info pages. So if I were to type in man Vim and hit enter and come down to the end of this page by holding down the space bar, you can see in the author section most of Vim was made by Bram Molinar. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to copy it, type Q to quit out of the man page. So now I'm going to type in VI lab number 1. And this is the file I'm going to put my answers in. So remember, we'd like to have some descriptive comments at the top here. So I could put in my name. I can put in the date. And I can put in the subject, which is, this is lab number 1. All right, so on to the lab. So number 1, and I'm simply going to paste. Most of Vim was made by Brad Molinar. All right. Now number 2. So you can see here it says, who is the author of the host ID utility? Well, remember, I'm in VI right now. So I could invoke the command, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the escape key. And you remember it said insert here. You may have seen it, right? If I'm in insert mode, it'll say insert. If I hit escape, I'm in command mode. So I'm going to save this file, Shift-ZZ, right? That's important because the file has been written. So I'll double check, we'll type ls. I'll even cat lab number 1. Remember cat short for concatenate. And it's just simply going to dump the contents of that file to the screen. And so that's what I've got so far. So now I'm on to number 2. Who is the author of the host ID utility? So I'll type in man space host ID. And we'll come down. And as you can see here, author, written by Jim Maring. So I'll copy that, quit out of the man page. I'm going to VI lab number 1, hit enter, come here. So as you can see, right, I'm hitting the L key and you can hear it's unable to move any further. I just simply hit A to get into insert mode. I'm going to paste my answer, written by Jim Maring. All right, so number 3. What are the 2 modes of the VI editor that we have discussed so far? So the first mode that we discussed was, you can actually see it's displayed right here, is insert mode. So insert mode and command mode. Number 4. What option can be used with the ls utility to display hidden file names? And do you remember we commented quickly on that a hidden file is any file name that begins with a period. So up until now, I've been demoing the ls, right? And you'll notice that it shows me some files, but it doesn't show me any files that begin with a period. So again, to get you to take a look at the man pages, let's take a look at man ls. And one of the very first options is -a or --all. And it says do not ignore entries starting with dot, or the period. So I'm going to hit Q to quit. I'm going to clear my screen. If I do ls space -a, now we can see there are a few more files in my home directory that I was unaware of. .bash_history, .bash_logout, .bash_profile, .bash_rc, and I'm sure you can see a theme here that we're using the bash shell. .viminfo and .xauthority. So the -A option can be used with the VI editor. I'm sorry, the -A option can be used with the ls utility to display hidden file names. So I'll type in, get back into lab 1 here, scoot over. You can hear I can't move any further, right? Because it's the end of the line. So I'll hit A, and I'll put down the -A option. Whoops. Can be used. Okay. Number 5. Number 5 says, what does Linux stand for? And it is a combination of Linus Torvalds' name and Unix. Right? That's where they came up with Linux. Number 6. What does GNU stand for? GNU stands for GNU is not Unix. Whoops. All right, number 7. And how can you read messages that have been saved to your inbox file? And the answer to this was actually covered in the Week in Review video from 9.4. So it's mail space -f inbox, and that will allow you to read mail. In fact, if you were to save mail messages to another file, you could use the mail space -f and then provide that file name as well. Okay, so what I typically do is I'll put down a couple sets and put end of file, right? So I'm going to do Shift-ZZ, and that saves that file. So let's come back up here and let's see what else we've got. So 8, 9, and 10 are asking to send email messages to CSI135-400. And this is where you need to pay special attention and actually read the directions, right? It's asking you to send them to CSI135-400. So let me clear my screen. So I'll type in mail space -s, this year's Super Bowl winner. All right. And I'm going to send that to CSI135-400. And this year's Super Bowl winner will be the San Francisco 49ers. All right. So again, to send this email, you put a period on a line by itself and hit enter. You'll receive the CC prompt for now. We haven't talked about a customization file for mail that will allow us to suppress that. And then I hit enter, and that message is gone. Now it wants another email message to CSI135-400, and it says my favorite color. So I'm going to put in my favorite color. And remember, it's important that the subject, which follows the -s, is placed within double quotes, especially when you have spaces. All right, so my favorite color is green. And then again, you could do Control-D. I still see the CC, and I'll hit enter. And last but not least, it says send an email to CSI, so we'll do mail space -s. Here is the hosts. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The hosts file is what it wants you to say. The hosts file. Important to read directions. And we're going to send it to CSI135-400. And I'm going to hit enter. And remember, when we did the tilde question mark, right, you have a lot of options that you can use in here. And the one way to read a file in, and you can think of the analogy of reading the file in is like adding an attachment, except you're simply adding in a text file. And the file we want to add is Etsy hosts. And as you can see, you receive a confirmation message that that file has been added. 28 lines, 999 bytes, or 999 characters. And again, if I do tilde-R and let's say I typoed and I put Etsy host and hit enter, I'm going to get an error message. It says no such file or directory. And remember that this is not showing up within the mail message, right? These are just simply error messages in the composition portion of the message, but they are not. It's not text that's going to show up in the email. To see what is, you could go into the VI editor. Remember we did the tilde-V, and I hit enter, and so here is the Etsy host file. And as you can see, that error message is not there, right? So now to get out of the VI mode, just do simply Shift-ZZ, right? Or you could do :Q. And now it says continue, so I'm still in email. So if I did tilde question mark again, it'll give me some other options, and one of the options that you could also do, so you could go into VI, but without going into VI, you could do whoops, let me see where it went real quick. It'll actually display print message buffer. There it is, tilde-p. So if I do tilde-p and hit enter, that will also show me, and you can see that's where I did the tilde-p, and then it says message contains, so who it's to, and the subject, and then here's what's in the message, the host file for the system Vader. All right, so I'm going to hit the period on a line by itself and enter, and you can see if I type in mail, there's a previous message, but here they are, the Super Bowl winner, my favorite color, and the host file. And so all three of those messages have been sent. Now, your task was to email your lab file to me. So I'm going to do it right here from the ampersand. So if I do a question mark at the ampersand, I can see a list of options I've got. And so one of them is the exclamation mark. And remember, the ampersand is when you're in the mail, you're in the reading portion of the mail utility. So if I do a exclamation mark and then type in ls, it'll show me the two files in my current working directory, which in this instance is my home directory. So you can see that lab1, which is the file I created in this window here, lab1 is sitting here waiting for me. So if we look back up here, I can actually send an email message right from within the mail reading portion. So I could do m space tpb, and it's important, right? Remember, all your homeworks, emails, things, or all your homeworks, labs will be sent to TPB, not CSI135-400. That's a student account that I use for demonstration purposes, or to have you send emails to practice. So when you're sending your emails in, make sure you send them into TPB if it's a homework, a lab, an exam, so forth. All right, so the subject here is lab number 1. I hit enter, and I'm now in the mail compose window. So I could do tilde question mark to see which commands are available. I'll do a tilde bang ls, and I'm looking for lab number 1, and so I'm going to do tilde r space lab, whoops, get some control characters there. So I'll do tilde r space lab number 1. Right now I should see a confirmation that shows me that lab number 1 has been read in. Again, this is very important to remember. If you don't receive that feedback from the mail utility, you did not read in that file. So if I do tilde r space, and let's say I type in lab number 01 and hit enter, you can see you should receive something. If it says no such file or directory, it did not add, it did not read your file in. It needs to say lab number 1, the name of the file, and then how many lines and how many bytes or how many characters. All right, so that's been done. I'm going to hit a period by itself. For your homeworks, your labs, your projects, tests, make sure you CC yourself so that you can see what you have sent me. So I'm going to CC CSI135-400, and then that's it. So I'm going to type Q to quit. You can see it says I've got new mail that's arrived. I'll type in mail. And so then here's the message here. Here's lab number 1. So let's see what message number 4 says. And there we go. There's my lab, right? So it's got the 7 questions that I was asked. I've already sent the 3 emails along. And if I come over here to my faculty account and I type in mail, you can see that I have received, and again, this is my TPB account, that I have received that email from CSI135-400, and here it is, right? So what I do is I typically save off all of your homeworks into a directory. So I would title this one CSI135-B25 _ homework 1. And then it creates that file for me. So I can always go back and take a look at your homework, and I can also send it back to you if you've misplaced it. Okay, so that was lab number 1 from 9/4/2013. And again, hopefully you find this useful and you're getting some value out of the videos, and I hope this has explained anything. If you have any questions, be sure to bring them to class on Wednesday night, and I will see you then. Have a great week.